got a Crunch membership. They just built a EOS. Have you been to the EOS?
I've been to the EOS.
Fitness?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on
I like
EOS?
Yeah, it's I feel as though it's like a step up from Crunch, just like due to the overall quality.
Yeah.
They have some of the hammer strength equipment that they.
Dude, so the one in Land Lakes has Arsenal.
Really?
Like they had a full Arsenal lineup,
Really?
dude. And when I walked in there, I'm like, I was contemplating if I was gonna get the second gym membership because I have Powerhouse as well that is in Tampa. And then when I saw they had Arsenal, I'm like, boom, I gotta get this. I think that there's something about the name EOS Fitness though that attracts like a higher caliber of an athlete, because the Crunch and EOS, they cost the same price. They're $10 and they're $10. They're a mile and a half apart from each other, but you feel like you're in a completely different world from the type of person that's in there, from the energy and environment, everything about the gym for me. And I don't know if it's the naming and the branding that it's like got this EOS Fitness component, like, oh, this is fitness athletic. Yeah. Because there's not a whole lot of else that's different other than maybe the selection of the machine. They had the pool, which I think is a great addition. They both have saunas, they both have the classes, they both have turf area, they both have supplements. The one difference though, like that I've noticed, is that there's a higher caliber of a training athlete there, and they treat the gym way better. One thing about Crunch, dude, that I cannot stand is there's no gym etiquette. There's no respect for anybody.
It's a bunch of young college
You think that's what it is?
That's the component. So like for me, I go to Crunch channel side, you know this is like Alpha Kennedy, even Crunch on Hillsborough, it's usually big groups of like people in general, and it's like 6, 7, 8 people working out by the dumbbells and stuff like that. So like with Crunch, it's more of like a known name, where I think like it's more for like beginners and stuff like that. More diversity of people will go there. The other thing with EOS that they have is they have the massage chairs. They have those that are. It just feels like a more. It almost reminds me more of like LA Fitness, because LA Fitness like has more of that like expensive type vibe where it's just like you go in there, it looks a little nicer. I think. People have been transitioning there because it's a nicer or a newer gym. Like, you know how people will go try out the new gym, stuff like that.
So I get the question a lot from people, you know, like obviously, you know, COVID shut gyms down for 2 years. People were training at home, but you know, I get a lot of people that are like trying to, like they want to get into fitness. They know it's been a part of my background. You know, I've worked in gyms, I've done personal training, I run an online business. So if somebody comes to you, like where's kind of your go-to recommendation for maybe somebody that's just getting started? So beginner, where would you recommend them to go? Then maybe somebody that's, you know, 3-5 years, a little bit more intermediate and advanced, where would you recommend they go? And then the guy that's like competing, you know, powerlifting, bodybuilding, and like he's using his body as like a tool. Where would you recommend a beginner starts?
So beginner, I'm gonna say like Planet Fitness, Anytime Fitness, something like that. I mean, a beginner could also start at Crunch or EOS, but they might get a little bit overwhelmed just with the amount of people there, and also there are some.
What should they be looking for then? So what about maybe the Planet Fitness or the UFit or the Crunch?
It's easier. So like they have these like areas where it's like a 45-minute workout, it's like a circuit workout. So like they have it like exactly. So like they don't have to have like a, any sort of direction where they can just go this machine, this machine, this machine, and it's just like they go around in a circle, they do their entire workout, and it's like they don't have to think about it.
And they got low-cost personal training. What are your thoughts on personal trainers in gyms?
I mean, that's a sticky topic for myself, because I'm very critical of personal trainers in general. I'm sure you are as well. Trainers really aren't attentive the way that like they should be, and I mean, I'm a little critical, even Crunch trainers, EOS trainers, Planet Fitness trainers. I think if your trainer is attentive to what you're doing, then your trainer's doing a good job. And if you're talking about other things during the workout, then your workout is not focused enough. The main issue that I have with a lot of trainers nowadays is they talk about so many like personal.
Yeah, but don't you think that there's some value for a person in that, right? So, you know, we obviously, you know, you and I have had many conversations around your generation, my generation, lacking communication, lacking relationships, lacking intimacy. I think that there's people in the world that they see their trainer as a friend, as a therapist, and many people that I know personally look forward to that 1 hour after work, because it gives them an opportunity before they go home to decompress, de-stress. I'm not saying that this is worth $100 an hour to somebody, but I do think that there's people that
need it.
And they also, so you hit a nail on the head about the mental aspect, where like people they need that friend. They need someone to talk to sometimes. Where like my friend, he's a trainer at Crunch, and he was like, dude, I wouldn't even train this lady. She just wanted someone to talk to. And she just wanted like me as a therapist. And like, but I think the best combination is like a 60-40 split maybe, where it's like 60% training and then like 40%.
Well, I was gonna say, I always got that relationship, that friendship, that connection from the people I was training with at the gym. So I think you reach a certain level, maybe in your training, career, maybe in your life or whatever. Maybe this is how because I've been an athlete my entire life. So for me in high school, you're hanging with your boys after school in the weight room, so it was always a part of like, training is training physically, but there's also this relational component. So for me, I've always looked at the gym where there's gonna be more people like me. And I don't really feel I get that. I'm never gonna get that at Planet Fitness. I'll get that every once in a while at a Crunch, but you put me in a powerhouse or you put me in a place like MI40 or a place like Carbon Culture or something like that, it's like now I'm around my people. So not only are we all pushing each other, but then in between sets, just like you and I chopped it up here, like we're chop it up, we're gonna talk about life, we're gonna connect on a deeper level. But I think some people will be intimidated by walking into a powerhouse gym and trying to make best friends with the big guy. People see the big 260-pound guy and they're like, oh, I'm intimidated. In reality, my experience has always been, that's usually the nicest guy in the gym. Like that's the guy that wants the best for you. That's the guy that's gonna unrack all his weights. That's the guy that's gonna help you, give you form advice. So I think it's just understanding like, what is it you're seeking out of the gym? Like obviously, we're there for the physical training, but I think that relation component is bigger than most people talk about.
That's a great point. I mean, I definitely agree with that. Like, I think for me, I always find a way to like establish rapport with like my clients in general. It's just like when I see someone training someone and they don't hit a set for 10 minutes, it's like I'm standing there watching them having a conversation. I'm seeing them like being trained, and usually the session's only 45 minutes. So that's kind of how I look at things. Like it needs to be a happy balance. And to get back to beginner, intermediate, and like expert. So beginner, I'd say like Planet Fitness, Anytime Fitness. Intermediate, I'd say Crunch, just cause like there are some like people that have been training there for a while, and so Crunch, EOS at intermediate, and then top level, I'd say like MI40. Would you put Powerhouse in the top level, or would you put that in intermediate? Because there's some pro level bodybuilders that train there, and then there's also some people
Well, I think you're talking specifically about one Powerhouse here in Tampa. I think the branding of Powerhouse, you go to Bev Francis Powerhouse in New York, complete hardcore, right? You go to Powerhouse, is it Powerhouse in downtown Columbus? Sick hardcore gym, right? You go
Detroit.
in Detroit, right? The original Powerhouse, So I actually had lunch with the founders of that one, So I would put Powerhouse in more of an advanced intermediate. And then you have your specialty gyms, right? You have like a MI40, which is specifically for bodybuilding. And then you get a lot of, there's a lot of elite FTS or ones that are more specifically for powerlifting or sports or whatnot. So at that level, it's like you're going there because that gym offers something specifically for what you're doing. What are your thoughts on, things like Orange Theory, F45, these boot camp models where it's group centric, right? We've been talking about the relationship component, the community. I know it's not for you, but are there people out there that can benefit from places like that, and if so, why?
Definitely. I mean, it's all about the community effort. I mean, like when you have like a group of people in together, it's like you motivate each other, you push each other. When you see someone like pushing themselves just really hard throughout the workout, it's like you look over and you're like, I'm gonna keep going. And that's how I kind of look at Crunch also, is like a lot of people really don't like empty gyms, or they do like empty gyms. Like they wanna have an empty gym all the time. Me, I like an empty gym because I don't have to wait for anything. That's the cool component. But honestly, I like other people working out around me. Like I kind of have a different perspective than everyone else in regards to like a busy gym, even just because.
The eyeballs on you?
No, not at all. It's the energy component. Honestly, like so like when I was there by myself. It's like I know I don't have anyone else like working out next to me, or like they're doing chest or they're doing back or stuff like that. And it's never really been like people looking at me. It's always like I know they're pushing themselves. I'm an athlete. You're a competitor. I'm a competitor. So it's like I played football my whole life. I played baseball my whole life. Like playing sports, always around people. It was like when I'd go to an empty gym, I'd be like, this is kind of weird. I feel like I can drop like a thumbtack or a nail, and I'm like, where's everyone at? Like that's why I think me working out at smaller gyms by myself always like wasn't the best thing for me, just because of my upbringing, being an athlete, and like I said, playing football and such. So back to F45 in Orange Theory, I've done F45 before.
Okay.
I've never done Orange Theory. Have you done either of those?
I've never done F45. I have taken one Orange Theory class. Okay. It's a treadmill, a rower, and there's like a 3-station thing that you go through. Okay. They're all effective, and I think what it comes down to is understanding that F45 Orange Theory is not going to make you look like Chris Bumstead. 100%. And training like Chris Bumstead is not going to get you prepared to run a half marathon. And running outside on a trail is not going to help you pick up 600 pounds. So I think it's understanding that all of these effectively can work. It's what's the goal that we're working towards first. Let's start there. Let's have an aim. Let's have a vision or a goal that we're working towards, and then figure out what can we be consistent with. That's where a lot of people fall short, is they try to do things that they don't enjoy. They can't stick with it. Not everybody's gonna be a pro bodybuilder, so they don't need to train 5 days a week like you. The average person can get benefit and value out of 3 times a week, 35 minutes of some type of active movement. So whatever's gonna take for somebody to get their ass off the couch and get moving to get healthier, we're all in support of that. You know, now there's obviously gonna be a better place to go if you wanna be a bodybuilder. There's gonna be a better place to go if you wanna be a world-class powerlifter. There's gonna be a better place you can go if you wanna be great at CrossFit. And it's just understanding that first. None of these are right or wrong. It's what are you trying to accomplish first? What are you gonna enjoy? What are you gonna be able to stay consistent and stick with? And what's available conveniently to you. Not everybody's gonna drive 2 hours to go to a gym. I had a point in my life where I could drive over an hour to get to the gym because that was the season that I was in. Now I train at 2 gyms that are 7 minutes from my house because that's what I have available. I'm just fortunate to have a Crunch and an EOS 7 minutes from my house.
And for me, so like Crunch is 10 minutes from my house, and then I'm like 15 from EOS. So like sometimes I'm like, for the convenience purpose, like I'm gonna go to Crunch just due to time constraint. And like a lot of people, I think, they focus on what they're not doing instead of focusing on just the consistency factor, like you were saying. Like if someone can like prep their meals or get things together, like meal prep for 4 meals of the day, think about how easy they'd succeed, because it's like that's the foundation of everything. It's like just the food component, and it's like preparing that in advance. Where like with me, I got my meals on me right now. You know, everywhere I go, I bring my meals. And my sister was just telling me on the phone earlier. She's like, I'm not used to bringing my meals like wherever I'm going because I always went to school away to college. So she went away to college, she'd go back home, go eat. Me, I'm always on the go. So like wherever I go, I bring 2 to 3 meals on me because that's what's going to take for me to succeed. And that's the same thing that I instill in my clients is like, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. And I love that quote just because it's like the more you prepare yourself for what you want to succeed in, it's like the more likely you are to succeed. So let me ask you this. You did Orange Theory. Out of 1 out of 10, how would you say the difficulty was during the workout itself?
I mean, you can make it a 1 or you can make it a 10.
That's great.
Because it's the effort that you're going to put.
What did you make it?
You're the effort that you're going to put into it. I mean, I can't do anything without putting a 10x effort into it, right? So for me, you put me in any type of competitive environment, and I'm going to push myself to be the best in there. So I probably wasn't the most fit, you know, in terms of a conditioning standpoint, but I was pushing myself harder because that's what I know how to do. You put me in a CrossFit gym, I'm going to push myself. You put me with powerlifts, I'm going to push myself. So yeah, I think it can be a 1 or a 10.
Yeah, I liked F45. F45 was kind of cool. It was different in comparison to, I mean, like I said, I've never done Orange Theory, but I've seen some workouts with it.
It's more functional based, there's more multifaceted movements kind of through different planes, whereas Orange Theory's on a treadmill, on a rower, and then there was one other thing they had us do, and I don't remember what it was, but.
All I know is after that F45 worked out, that kicked my ass, like big time. Like I was in debt.
Because it was something that you weren't used to. So I think that's another thing is don't always stay in the same thing. Obviously, if you're working towards a goal and you're trying to compete, yes, you need to be like a bodybuilder, but every once in a while, go out and do a primal workout outside. Go, do an obstacle course training. Like, adaptation, because our bodies will get used to the same stimulus if that's all we give it to. So we need to have this adaptation effect. So that's what it was. So yeah, I think for most people, it's what is your goal? What are you working towards? What's convenient to you? and then what can you be consistent with?
Exactly, and that's the most important aspect. The consistency is like, be real with yourself. Like, look, if I can't work out for an hour a day, and I know I can't work out for an hour a day, don't set yourself up to do so. Like, set yourself up, like, give yourself those little wins. You know, so like with coaching people, and the way I coach people in the beginning of the process is I kind of get them doing habit coaching. So with habit coaching, it's like, all right, I want you to pick one thing that you're gonna stick to for the first week. You're not gonna miss any days, you're gonna do one thing, and it's like giving that like trickle effect, where it's like, okay, I got used to doing this, I can get used to doing something else. And it's kind of just like a psychological thing.
James Clear talks about it in his book, Atomic Habits, right? The guy that showed up to the gym, all he did was show up for 6 months, and then now here it is 10 years later, he's lost 100 plus pounds, and he still is at the gym every day. So no, I think we're agreed on a lot of the same things. Let's get to crunch, man. Let's get a lift in, bro.
Let's do it.
All right, dude.
Sounds good.